The steeples are white in the wild moonlight, and the trees have silver glare. Past the chimneys high to the vampires fly, and the harpies of upper air that flutter and laugh and stare. For the village dead to the moon outspread never shone in the sunset's gleam, but grew out of the deep that the dead years keep, where the rivers of madness stream down the gulfs to a pit of dream. A chill wind weaves through the rows of sheaves, in the meadows that shimmer pale, and come to twine where the headstones shine, and the ghouls of the churchyard wail for harvests that fly and fail. Not a breath of the strange grey gods of change that tore from the past its own can quicken this hour, when a spectral power spreads deep o'er the cosmic throne, and looses the vast unknown. So here again stretched the vale and plain that moons long forgotten saw, and the dead leap gay in the pallid ray, sprung out of the tomb's black maw to shake all the world with awe. And all that the morn shall greet forlorn, the ugliness and the pest of rose where thick rise the stones and brick, shall some day be with the rest, and brood with the shades unblessed. Then wild in the dark that the lemurs bark and the leprous spires ascend, for new and old, alike in the fold of horror and death append, for the hounds of time to rend. This story is what one would call an urban legend, which of course entails that it might be called fake, or even silly. It is agreeable that these are often classified as such, but here is something different, as these are actual events and one example in many similar others. Ah yes, the road. Something this driver, whom chose to remain nameless, didn't hate so much. Past tense now was a different story. But let us go back to the beginning, a few years ago to be eerily cryptic. She had at first something good going on with her friends joining her for the car ride to a vacation home on the other side of the state, but no. Of course it wouldn't happen so smoothly. Going out in the afternoon after dining time just to have less traffic on their way there. The three of them quickly realized this was going to be a long ride. She, our driver, was stuck in this car with people who were getting sick of said ride after 3 hours of boring ride through the empty, dark countryside. They seemed uneasy, maybe because of the bad travel choices. That, or the night and dark, were getting to them more than they should have. After passing one of the many speed limit signs, indicating the usual country road 10 miles per hour, the car got colder. Way too cold. Odd, it was in the middle of spring last time they had checked. Not one person had taken a jacket, and they were all freezing in mere minutes. The driver simply tried to mess with the heater knobs and buttons trying to fix it. Well crap. This was much harder than what they made it look like in the manual, without crashing the car anyway. Water started condensating on the windows, even hardening to a thin layer of ice. Of course her friends were all being useless and uncaring, snorting and laughing at her clumsiness. At least they had humor to lighten the otherwise boring, freezing, and aggravating mood. One of the two, the youngest girl, added to the jokes, saying this could be the start of a bad horror film. This looked like this was not working. They all had a red, freezing nose, and the driver was stuck trying to repair an air conditioner she had no clue how to fix with reddened fingers trembling from the bone. Well, that side was not creepy at all. Nope, not one bit. Soon, breaking the awkward silence, someone noticed a form looking like a woman sitting cross-legged on the road, and promptly made everyone aware of the strange presence. The car came to a stop right before the mysterious woman. The driver shot a glare at the two idiots in the back as they started making misplaced jokes. She promptly made them shut the hell up, as they were saying something about her being one of those roadkill ghosts they tell stories about. But that was just silly talk, of course. And besides, this poor girl looked hurt. The driver got out of the car and walked carefully over to the woman with the red, almost opaque veil covering her face, looking at her. The driver spoke first. "Hey, do you need any help?" the driver asked, just staring. She looked at the others, whom were busy chatting about nonsense, before looking at the bone-thin woman again. The only answer the woman gave was nod weakly. "Okay. Well, do you need a ride? We could take you to a hospital if you want." The woman simply nodded again and stood up. Her fine legs wobbled a little, but soon she was walking over to the car, joining the others in the now kind of cramped car. Our driver shot one more glare at the others, whom kept on being general asses to her, as she returned to her seat, fixing the rearview mirror, trying to avoid the strange, piercing, and unseen stare of the woman in red. She drove along the road again, and after an instant, someone was heard giggling. Three friends looked at each other with a frown, all agreeing that it wasn't one of them. Quickly they agreed that it was the woman. It did seem like any normal human laugh, but something felt way off, such as the reason she was even laughing. The driver raised her head to peek at the reflection, and through her veil, the woman seemed to be giggling indeed. Okay, she was odd, but nobody paid her any mind. She may just have been happy to find help. The driver raised her hand to fix the mirror again, and... Shit. Crap, what was that? Blood? On the rear window? She frowned and turned around. Nothing. Looking in the mirror one last time, she noticed a grinning, mad face going right for her. Giggles. Maddening, deafening giggles. Then darkness. Nothing. Car gone. The friends vanished into the wild. And soon it will happen again. And again. The woman in the red veil waits for more people to lure in. To trap. To feed. Every year, during a period from 1946 to 1952, the residents of a small town in western Germany heard what resembled a 6-gun salute on the 15th of every March. Some residents made frequent trips into the surrounding hills in hopes of finding the source of the noise, but to no avail. The townsfolk eventually named the area Gunpowder Hill. The children of the town even created a legend around it, stating that soldiers, who in that time were missing, had been executed and were buried somewhere in the hill. The purpose of the 6-gun salute was to guide people to the location of the men. On the 15th of March every year, the children would gather at the edge of town, eagerly awaiting the 6 gunshots to be heard. In late 1941, the hills on the outskirts of the small German town were surveyed for the future construction of a NATO military site. The military base was to consist of a series of deep underground bunkers and weapon supplies, in the case of a Soviet invasion. In February 1952, construction began. Just 4 weeks later, the crew began digging a massive 200-foot deep hole for the future underground storage bunkers. It was during this time that that the crew made a morbid discovery. As they neared the end of the digging operation, a human hand was seen sticking out of the bottom of the hole. Upon future examination, 27 bodies were discovered at the bottom of the 200-foot-deep hole, dressed in prisoner of war outfits worn by the Allies in Nazi war camps. A NATO officer ordered for the bodies to be exhumed immediately. As the medical team watched the bodies being carried out of the hole, they looked on in puzzlement. The bodies were remarkably well preserved. Furthermore, the POW uniforms bore a strange insignia unlike any the men had seen before. An orange circle with a single black dash in the middle. However, the most unsettling characteristic was the faces. Their eyes were wide open and their mouths were sealed shut with an unknown adhesive. The bodies were immediately dispatched to the local morgue for identification and pathological examination. That night, the local mortician began his work. He found it difficult to concentrate on his task. The eyes of the first man he was to begin work on seemed to be staring back at him. The mortician took his scalpel and began his first cut. Blood poured out of the incision with staggering force. The mortician backed away from the table in shock. The red liquid began running down the table, pooling on the floor below. The eyes of the body began watering, and streaks of tears ran down its face. Soon, its eyes rolled back into its head. The bleeding ceased. In horror, the mortician ran to the door, but not before catching a glance at the 26 other bodies lying out on separate tables. Their eyes stared at him with hopeless fear. The men were still alive. She just found the song Every Day by Carly Commando that she discovered from a Simpsons episode. As soon as the song began, a small spider, probably a baby, glided downwards, gently swinging from the lamp above the computer. The spider stopped in the center of the rectangle YouTube that was listing the song's name and artist. She breathed in the music, staring at the small spider that was dangling in front of the screen. She let it sit and enjoy the music with her. She almost felt bad when she swiftly crushed it with a tissue while the final notes rang through the air. The spider had spent the last moments of its life soaking in a beautiful song that was actually used in the episode of The Simpsons when Homer jumped off a bridge attempting to kill himself and his life flashed before his eyes. Everyone has killed spiders at some point in their lives and never felt bad. Why should they? They're only insects that you share the world with. You will never speak with them or bond with them. They're just there. Sometimes they will make a human sick, or on rare occasions maybe even kill one. Humans are the same way. One will die, and unless you cared about them, the most you might feel is a smooth shot of sadness. The feeling can disappear into the breeze as easily as it arrived. Everyone else is just there. You might talk to them, but if they're gone, it is easier to move on with each passing second. Every emotion you feel eventually subsides, until you are the one other people who are spilling tears over. Humans are naturally very dramatic creatures that get bored easily. They're selfish, and almost too willing to adapt to something just so they can become comfortable. The reason humans seek out movies, books, or any story is so they can feel some sort of emotion. Why do they hunger for emotion so much? The answer is simple. They can never adapt to emotion, therefore it's thrilling even if it's gone as fast as it came. Emotion is very similar to memory. It's there, then it's not. You will always know what it was like, but it fades more and more for every moment that passes. Death is beautiful. Whether it's the muscles, including our lungs and heart, eventually relaxing, or your blood stroking the skin. When you are dying, there is no need to care about anything anymore. You are free to enjoy the pain and fear and soothingness of your life slipping away. I wish more people would just focus on the exciting new feeling that comes as they have been searching for all their life when that short but everlasting moment of death comes. It's sad that all those billions of people can't hear the song that plays. So sad that those people refuse to listen to the lyrics of their memory and the rhythm of their heart. I suppose if they can't hear their own song, they could try to listen to another. I am not a human. I sound human and can act human, but I'm not a human. I can't die. I can fall asleep and be almost completely repaired by the time I awake. Much like a character from a video game, but I cannot die. After a person's body has died, they will be trapped on the earth until they realize that they could have gone all along. Some might be trapped on earth for a while longer as punishment, but they will eventually fade away to be reincarnated until their soul is finally allowed to be completely free, a place overflowing with beauty and dry of boredom. I only look like whatever I want someone to see me as. I have a true form, but it is incomprehensible to anything other than something like myself. I usually allow humans to see me as a young grey cat with medium-length shaggy yet soft fur, big amber eyes, and a crooked tail. You might be wondering by now how I know so much about death when I myself cannot die. My task here on Earth is to take the souls that are ready to go to the beautiful place. When my soul was first born, I instinctively knew how to carry out my tasks like how a human or animal instinctively knows how to breathe. I am with every one of my victims as they die. I am their cause of death. Death isn't a thing though. It's a goodbye. The human definition of death is wrong. Death is not the end of something, but the beginning. At first my favourite part was getting a glimpse of the beautiful place whenever I would take another soul there. It would help let the awful feeling of pain, fear, and abnormality drift away. Eventually I knew that I would never enter the beautiful place until another soul that was the same as me was my cause of death. I gave up on trying to admire the place that did nothing but taunt me. Now I know the best part of my task is feeling death when I deliver it. I talked earlier about how everyone and everything else is just there. That's also how I feel about you. The only part of you that is significant to me is your death. By the way, do you remember the girl I mentioned at the beginning of my story? I have taken her to the beautiful place. Her death was caused by a spider bite from a brown recluse shortly after she killed its baby. The brown recluse is a small spider with its back in the shape of a violin just behind its head. It's also known as the violin spider. Greywater Gardens lives up to its name, I thought, as I made my way up the damp concrete slabs bridging across the stagnant pond. Everywhere leading up to the ashen decrepit house was lined by rotting flowers and the congealed feces of cats, dogs, and other animals. The water itself looked like it had remained the same for centuries. This place is dead. As dead as I am. I arrived at the door, more a collection of damp splinters, and hesitantly pushed it open, causing the hinges to shriek. Oh, no more shrieking. Please. The inside was as drab and oppressive as the outside, and my nostrils filled with a sense of mold and neglect and regret. Or maybe it's just me. I hadn't showered in days. I couldn't face the water. There was what appeared to be some kind of waiting area. 3 or 4 old wicker chairs and one of those "please be seated" signs you would find in a posh restaurant. So, looking around for the slightest bit of human company, I sat down and waited. Despite myself, my wallet found its way into my hands, and then the picture of M I kept in there found its way in front of my eyes. I could never throw this away, no matter how many times I told myself to, for the sake of my own sanity, but I couldn't. This was all I had left of her fair white skin and pale blue eyes and ginger hair I'd teased her about, and the freckles on her face and chest. She was beautiful. I tried to correct myself to present tense, but I couldn't. I'd never forget the day the loss of that ginger hair fell out. A cough brought me back to reality, and I looked, blinking back tears, to see an old man, bald and bearded and stooped over, grinning through a mouth with yellow teeth. His clothes were as grey and wiry as the hairs on his face, like he wore the gardens in human form. Even his right eye was grey. The left was just a black empty socket, with the eyelids hanging over it forlornly. "You have an appointment?" He spoke like he hadn't used his voice in years. Yes, I have a secret. I want a deposit." "I know you do," he said. He let me grasp for words, wondering how the hell he knew when he said, "You wouldn't be here for any other reason, would you?" He turned and beckoned me to follow him into the back room. I gazed at the picture of M one last time. "I love you." Then I slid it back into my wallet and did as I was bid. The room was more of the same, grey and wet and rotting and horrid. The only remarkable feature was the huge hefty ledger on an antique wooden table next to a plain steel chalice, and the middle of the room was a concrete pool, only a few feet across, filled with the same stagnant grey water from the ponds outside. The old man opened the ledger. "You wish to deposit a secret?" he asked, perhaps as a formality. Or maybe he's playing with me. "Yes," I said. "Your name?" I told him. "Excellent. Then let's begin." He picked up the chalice and moved to the pool. He bent down, agonizingly slow, but eventually filled the cup and shuffled over to me. "Drink the water," he told me, a grin playing upon his old and papery lips as he pushed the cup into my hand. The water was empty, and your secret will replace it with water. No man can discern its murky depths. His smile was now so wide I thought his face might crack open. "But once I have taken custody of your secret, you can never reveal it. No one will ever know, for there will be no confidence or confession to chance of redemption. Are you sure this is the path you wish to take?" "I am." I didn't even hesitate. "I want to know, both our sakes." The old man shrugged and took a step back. I raised the cold steel to my face, but before I could drink, curiosity grasped me. "Why do you take other people's secrets?" "In the world of the blind," he laughed, raspy and throaty, and tapped at his missing eye. "The man with one eye is king." And I knew exactly what he meant. "For you, Am," I thought as I downed my morbid toast. I dropped the chalice and left without a word, knowing now that she was safe. As I walked out of Greywater Gardens, I looked down at the putrid pond, and remembered, it wasn't the water that was grey at all, but her face, as I held her frail body down in the bath. Hello there. You mayn't remember me, but I remember you. I remember the days we spent together down by the Silverland. I remember the day when we were 12, when we poured oil in the road, leaning towards the church and laughing at the poor sods who didn't notice. And the thing I remember the most vividly is the blood oath we made. The oath that we would stay close. I regret breaking that oath by running away from you 5 years ago, but could you blame me? Being accused of murder isn't exactly going to make things easy to get close to you without everyone assuming you're an accomplice. But in the 5 years I've been gone, I've been, enlightened, shall we say. 3 years ago, a young man offered me a peace. What a fool I was to accept his offer. He didn't give me what I wanted. He gave me pain, terror, endless life for which to suffer for my sins. But over those 3 years, I've come to learn what it means to be a sinner. I know that the murder I supposedly committed was minor compared to what I must do now as a creature of the night. But now, onto where you are, and why you're here. The where is the cellar of my family home. The why is, well, I need your blood. You know vampires need blood to survive. But why you? Well... Huh? Oh, sorry about that. I just realized what a beautiful young woman you've become. Your parents should be proud of you. Right, back on topic. I chose you because you were the closest thing I had to a true friend. And I figured we'd spend our last moments together. Should I do it? If it will help you relax. Should I kill her? There's so much potential. I don't want to waste that. Just close your eyes and sleep. I know we'll be pleased with this. I think. You're awake. Good. Glad you're still around, and no, you didn't exactly get out scot-free. Look at the underside of your right arm. See those small wounds? That's where I sucked some of your blood out for nourishment. And where some of my blood went into you. Consider yourself one of us. I'll explain later tonight, but for now, drink up. Brush from my left hand. It'll help you get your strength up, and you'll need plenty of that for your first hunt tonight. I'll see you around.